My anaconda don't want none unless you got bonds, hon. So I got this review. I'm going to do my Song Sung Blue Out review after this, and then I got to, at some point before the end of the year, see SpongeBob. And that's going to be the end of my 2025 movies, and then my best and worst list will be out sometimes next week. So Anaconda, the reboot, it's really tough to say what this film type actually is. The closest analogy is, as I said earlier, to Tropic Thunder in the theater reaction. It's to Tropic Thunder, where it's the movie exists in the real world, and they go and try to make a movie that's a remake of the movie, and then a real anaconda shows up and people die. But that's really as close as I can describe the type of movie it is in that sense. Otherwise, it is. Look, I'll say what I said out of the theater and expand on it a bit more. I enjoyed the movie. It's a funny movie. As a comedy, I really had a good time with this movie. Jack Black and Paul Rudd worked very well together. They actually do have a very similar type of energy to each other. Although I would definitely say Jack Black is certainly the more, obviously, manic, childlike of the two of them. Both of them play off each other really well. They got some great scenes with each other, and some great laughs too. Like they got some really good belly laughs out of me. Taddy Newton, I've always loved Taddy Newton whenever she shows up. So, or Thaddy Newton, I should say. It's Thaddy Newton. I've always liked Thaddy Newton when she shows up. So she's always great. I joy to watch, really, and she's fun. She's kind of the straight woman of the group here. I will say Steve Zahn is probably he is the most cartoonish of anyone here, but it's kind of the joke. He's kind of an F-up in many ways. That said, not every joke with him works. There are jokes that don't land in this movie. There's a joke involving someone needing to take a piss that we were laughing at, but was more one of those, you're laughing because of the absurdity of what you're watching, not necessarily because it's funny. And I'm like, I think we taken a weird detour of comedy in this movie. Like, this doesn't quite match the comedy of the rest of the film. But then you get things like, Jack Black, the pig being tried Jack Black. I mean, like, the whole setup for that is you think he gets killed and then he turns out to be alive. And then they actually expand on that more. And it's actually quite a funny scene. Like that, and that's the core of it. This movie, these friends from childhood used to make movies and stuff together, kids movies, but they made movies, and they wanted to follow their dreams, but life changed, and years later they get the chance to make the movie they've always wanted to make. So I'm just looking at my hair right now. My hair is in a weird state, and it's not bad. It's weird. Bedhead, but in a good way. So that really lies the strength of the film. Is most of the comedy, I think, works. The final action sequence is a lot of fun too. Given that the final action sequence is a lot of fun. But it is not perfect. Oh, and I mentioned something else near the end. There is a cameo in the film. I'm not going to say who, I'm not going to say where, and I'm not going to say when. It's not very long. It's like maybe 5 minutes long. They get a scene. But it is a good cameo. Like, it's like the minute the scene opened up, I leaned over my girlfriend and was like, I think that's insert here. I think that's them. And sure enough, it was. And there is they're not after credits, but there is a final little cameo near the end, which, whatever, it didn't really mean much. Yeah, okay, whatever. But this movie isn't perfect. I'm going to tell you right out of the gate. One of the things I would have liked in a movie called Anaconda is more of the Anaconda. Like, the Anaconda is not in this movie a great deal. Like, we get it's also, in the original Anaconda, because we are comparing. Literally, they're trying to remake Anaconda, so it's fair to compare. And the original Anaconda, you had two villains, the Anaconda and John Voight. The Anaconda is really just doing what it's doing, but it is the severe antagonist in the movie, whereas John Voight is definitely the insane bad guy. Here, you kind of have a different version of that. And, well, the Anaconda stuff doesn't look quite as good as it did back in the 90s. It still looks fine. For the CGI could be a lot worse. It really could be. In fact, CGI is quite good at some points. But you do get your John Voight character and the subplot involving that, and that subplot really doesn't go anywhere except that people die. Like, you've got this character, and there's a reveal with the character, and I'm just thinking, I wish I cared about this character. I just don't. And then luckily they do away with the character at the end. I'm like, okay, good. Spoilers, I guess. You know that, and you know which character I'm talking about. You know that character's not making it out. But then like there's this. It's involving like illegal gold mining, and it literally has no they end it halfway through the film. So there's like no legitimate point. There's honestly a plot point of them and I will spoil this a little bit. Okay, so spoiler in 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. So it turns out they don't have the rights to be making an Anaconda movie, and they end up seeing Sony, a big boat from Sony, with it actually remaking Anaconda. And that's, if you remember the trailer, that's the scene where Paul Rudd walks up onto like this destroyed or wrecked like site, shipwreck, and the Anaconda grabs the girl. So, and we later on find even more of that set destroyed by the snake. That is actually a better plot angle than just throwing in this random gold miner bullshit. Like, have them like be competing individual, like a competing film thing. If one of them's doing an indie style one, and maybe figure out a way to like do the rights or whatever, like, and then maybe they're competing for Sony. That would have made more sense. Instead, you get this bullshit plot. Subplot of gold miners. You get a cool idea of these people trying to make the film, like this legit studio could try to make the film, and then nothing happening, and then they just go nothing. We see it, they get off screened except for one person. Even the deaths involving with the Anaconda, you don't see anyone really dying. Like they get dragged underwater or something like that. That's about it. And again, the movie's only PG-13, so to be fair, I can at least kind of understand that. Because, I mean, you can only do so much in terms of, like, animal deaths. But, yeah, for a movie called Anaconda, the Anaconda itself is really not that big a part of the movie. I'm not saying I'll call it a he, although biologically speaking, the size of the snakes would suggest it's a she. And by the way, my girlfriend leaned over to me and was like, I'm gonna hear to you for the knowledge on snakes and what's accurate here. There is nothing accurate about anacondas, and it's weird because Jack Black literally at one point, I was reading that anacondas on the plane, they're ambushed. What Jack Black says is 100% true, but everything we see depicted about anacondas in this movie is not true. Like an anaconda rearing up. That's not how a snake that big can't rear up. Snakes don't move that. They can't run down a freaking car or like a go-kart. A snake that big can't move that. Like, there's nothing realistic really in the movie about the snake. Hell, the original Anaconda is quite frankly more realistic, and that's not realistic. So yeah. But yeah, I mean, if you really break it down, the snake is maybe in the movie, out of a movie that is an hour and 40 minutes long, no joke, it's maybe in 20 minutes of the movie. And anytime it's on screen, it is fun. There is even a little bit of a scare there once in a while, but not anything insane. That's the other thing, too. Despite being it's labeled as an action comedy, not a horror comedy. So I will say they aren't necessarily falsely advertising it, but it is based off an a 90s creature feature horror action film, which did in fact have some scares in it, at least for younger viewers at the time. Or if you're a snake folk, dear God, good luck. But yeah, it's just I really would have liked to see more from, especially because that's kind of what they were advertising in the trailer. We didn't get much of a trailer. We got the one. I'll give them this. They didn't do a heavy marketing budget that much. So I mean, on a $45 million budget, I'd be shocked if this thing was over 70 million in terms of the overall production and marketing. So if the film can hit 110 million, they're good. We'll have to see what the opening weekend's going to look like. And I know they've said they wanted to do other movies like this, like what about The Thing, or what about this and that. Like, I'm down. I think they just need to figure out a better balance is the problem. I do think a balance issue for their subject matter versus the humor needs to find it. They need to find that harmony. So yeah, take the subplots that I didn't care about out of the equation, and take the fact that, again, even though the snake is in here, it's not in there enough for me. Did I enjoy the film? I did. I actually had a good time with it. My girlfriend had a good laugh. She was cackling at points. We had a good time with it. Could this film have been better? Yeah, it could have been better. I did want maybe a bit more from this film. But at the end of the day, you get what you get. And what I got was good. I enjoyed myself for what it was. So yeah, that's my thoughts. What do you think? If you've seen it, if you haven't yet, what will you do? Will you go see it or will you not go see it? Let me know in the comments below. But thanks for watching. Hope you enjoyed. Like, comment, share, subscribe, and I'll see you next time.